Good morning, students. We were studying about latitudes, and we have also studied about how all the different zones falls under these latitudes. Okay, so basically the idea of creating latitudinal lines over the globe of Earth is to trace the location. As I have told you earlier, that by drawing grids and something like this, if you will see, it's easy to find out the location of a certain place. Okay, so it's easy to find out the location of a certain place using latitudinal lines, but sometimes few things happen where the exact location cannot be traced by the help of latitude. For example, there are two cities, if I will tell you, Allahabad and Hyderabad. Hyderabad not of India, of Pakistan. They fall in the same line. Hyderabad on the northern side and Allahabad somewhere in this line. And what actually happens, they fall on the same latitudinal line. If you will consider here, this is let us take this as Hyderabad here, Hyderabad of Pakistan, okay, and Allahabad somewhere here in Uttar Pradesh, okay, in India. These are two different countries, but what actually happens, they fall in the same line or the same latitudinal line, and the line in which they fall have a value of 25 degree 25 minute north. That means if you want to trace their location using the latitudinal line, their value comes, their latitudinal position is 25 degree 25 minute north. This shows that they fall on the same line, but we know that these cities are entirely at different locations, because Allahabad is in Uttar Pradesh, India, and Hyderabad of Pakistan is somewhere else. So to trace out the exact location, we need another pattern, that is the longitudinal positions. Okay, so what happens actually, I have told you earlier that latitudes run in this way parallel to the equator and longitude runs this way. Okay, so now it's easy for us to trace out the position of any area using the latitudinal lines and the longitudinal lines. Here you can see 25 degree 25 minute north is the position of both the cities, but the longitudinal values will be totally different. So longitudinal values along with latitudinal lines give you exact location of a certain place. Okay, now let me tell you what further we can use longitudes for. See, longitudes are the line which run parallel to the 0 degree line which runs from the southern side to the northern side. Okay, this is known as 0 degree. Longitudes are sometimes referred as prime meridian or meridian. Meridian is known as midday. What does midday mean here? Midday means somewhat afternoon time or the mid of the day. 12-hour session is can be termed as midday. So what actually this value refers to as the countries or the cities which fall in the same line. For example, a city A, city B, city C, city D. These four different cities are there in different countries. Suppose A is in Italy and B is somewhere in Spain and C is somewhere in England and so on. Let us take any country. If the longitudinal line here is suppose 16 degree, well, let us take 16 degree east. So if these lines are passing through the same city, the midday time of the city will be same. Midday time of these cities will be same. So that is why longitudinal lines are sometimes referred as the lines to calculate time. Actually what happens, 0 degree is also known as the prime meridian or the international standard time unit. From here we actually find out the differences between time. You might have seen some time, or you can do one thing in your mobile phone. You just go to the settings zone, and there you try to change the time. There you will be seeing plus 5.30 IST. You will be seeing this for India. For Indian location you will be seeing this. If you are seeing plus 5.30 IST, that means our country's time is 5.5 hours ahead of the time which is in this area. That means the 0 degree area. 0 degree falls in many countries. Actually there are 8 countries which fall under 0 degrees. These are namely the United Kingdom, France, Spain, Algeria, Mali, Burkina Faso and Ghana. These are the countries where which fall under this prime meridian. So the time there and the time in our country is different. Okay, sometimes it depends upon that if you compare your time with American time or any other time, we are ahead of these countries in terms of time. We are 5.5 hours ahead of this country. For example, if the time right now is 11:30, I guess 11:30 a.m. So to calculate the time in America or in these countries, what you have to do, you have to just deduct the time, what the difference between the international standard time is here. For example, if United Kingdom's time, you have to calculate the present time of United Kingdom. What you have to do, you have to just minus 5.5 hours from there. For example, if it's 11:30 here, in Britain it will be 6 in the morning. If we are at 9, then they will be somewhere around 3:30 in the noon. If we are 9 p.m. at the night, and they will be somewhere in the noon time. So we are running ahead of us, and this happens as you go this way. When you see, I will just tell you how it happens. Suppose this is our country. When you go this way, the time actually what happens, it decreases, and here what happens, it increases. Means the country which are on these side of our country have time ahead of us, and the countries which are on this side of our country have time behind us. For example, if it's 11:30 in India, if you will go to Bangladesh, the time there will be 12 p.m. That means they are half an hour ahead of us, and this time gradually increases as you go this side. Sometimes in New Zealand, if you will go, the time there is near about 7.5 hours ahead of us. To the if you go to Australia, there are also near about 6.5 to 7.5 hours ahead of us. So longitudinal lines are used to calculate exact location of the place and also the time zone the country or the area falls in. Okay kids, so in the next class what we will do, there is the third thing which helps in locating the pattern, the area, the location of a particular area. The mic falling down. So that way is grid. What is grid? I will just give a brief account here, and will let you know later on in the coming videos. Grid actually is a graphical representation. What happens when you draw latitudinal lines in this way and the longitudinal lines in this way, the pattern which is formed here is termed as grid. The pattern which forms here is grid. Okay, this actually is known as 1 2 3 4. These all squares are grids. Okay, so there are n number of grids in a globe or in a map, just to locate a particular thing. For the next class, I need you to keep a graph paper with you, so that the homework which I shall give from here, you will be finding it easy to solve it over a graph paper instead of drawing it. Or if you don't have a graph paper, you can use your ruler to just draw a few lines horizontally and vertically. See what happens if this is the longitudinal lines and this is the latitudinal lines. The longitudinal lines runs perpendicular to the latitudinal lines. That means they create a 90-degree angle. Okay, so for today this shall be enough. What you have to do, you have to write down all the things in your copy and create notes of the given task. Till then, thank you students.